Yesterday, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin did speak with our own Maria Bartiromo, and they talked about the timeline for tax reform. It was a market-moving interview. Let's bring in Mitch Roschelle. He's a partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers and a business development leader there. Hey, Mitch, good morning.
Good morning, Cheryl.
You know, when he sat down with Maria, the markets moved. It was almost like he was kind of couching his words a bit, talking about the timeline for tax reform. In particular, it's that corporate tax rate. That is where, if the rubber meets the road and it's not a good thing, this could really affect businesses.
Yeah, it's interesting, though. However, when you talk to CEOs, they're not as concerned about the delay as the market was. CEOs want certainty, and knowing when the rate's going to kick in and for how long is important to people who are running businesses. But the market freaked out a little bit because they weren't expecting that one-year deferral.
You know, it's interesting because a lot of the discussions have been about state and local deductions, you know, the penalties for Obamacare. I mean, there's so many things that have been kind of taken in and out. Now you've got House and Senate. If you're a business owner, if you're a leader, how do you try to structure 2018 when you've got so much uncertainty in what tax reform is going to ultimately look like?
Yeah, great question. And status quo is probably the answer. If you're running a business and you don't know if it's going to happen or not, you really can't make investment decisions. One of the things that's part of the plan that's really very catalytic to growing the economy is the ability to expense up to a much higher level than you could. So if you're a business and you want to make that expense outlay, but you don't know if you're going to get the deduction, you're obviously not going to do it. So again, business owners want certainty, and right now we have a lot of uncertainty.
And I want you to listen to what Chuck Schumer said yesterday about kind of the conversations that are happening in Washington. Listen to what he said, Mitch.
Senate Republicans are telling House Republicans there'll be no compromise on state and local deductibility. It's full repeal or bust, because Senate Republicans need the revenue raised by ending this popular middle-class deduction.
What does that mean, Mitch?
You know what it means? You know, I'm going to pull out a prop, which is
good.
Which is, if you want to make it simple, you got to take away some of those deductions. So 30% of filers take advantage of the state and local deduction. But if you raise that standard deduction to the $24,000 level that you have, 90% of Americans get to take advantage of it, and they literally can use the postcard. So the reality is it's a highly political thing. It's going to be a much bigger issue in the House than it is in the Senate, because in the Senate, they're assuming that those senators from those high tax states aren't going to vote for it anyway. But in the House, it's going to be a bit of an issue. That's why all the focus is going to be on the Senate tax plan.
Yeah, Mitch. I mean, again, you know, as we look at all the weeds and the sausage being made out of Washington, again, we're pushing now to 2018, and businesses have got to figure this out, you know, sooner rather than later. Well, Mitch, we appreciate you being here. Thanks for joining us early this morning.
My pleasure.